Chance to look at the minutes? My phone. Go ahead, Ellie.
Should I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 1st?
Motion by Ellie to approve the SNK Gaming shareholder meeting minutes from September 1st. Second by Martin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
I'm in favor.
Are you in favor of the minutes for the shareholder? Okay,
An abstention.
yes, okay. 7-4, one abstention, Terry Pitts. And Leonard left the meeting. Okay,
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we are presenting today is our strategic plan update for 2022 to 2027. Our board of directors include Francine Dupuis, Susie Schrock, Jean Sorrell, and Carol Holion, and myself. SK Gaming, we update these on an annual basis. We really look at the strategic plan since 2016 and make sure that we are on track doing the business consistently and making sure that we're reaching our goals. So for 2022 to 2027, we basically looked at the strategic plan in a holistic approach to identify goals to guide the company through an ever-changing economic environment and put ourselves into a position to manage our business successfully. So how we come about that is we discuss 4 important pillars to facilitate our vision, mission, and core values. And those 4 subject lines are our organizational development, our product development, our market development, and process improvements for the company. We discussed supply and demand in our current market, including the potential barriers to supply and demand, and how it can influence our growth potential as a company. Within this strategy, we believe our board has developed a competitive advantage built on a marketing position, utilizing the right capabilities and competencies to deliver our products and services. By reviewing our direction and organization from a strategic platform, we believe we can evolve and adapt to any external business environment that's in the future. So kind of looking at these 4 pillars of our strategic plan, the first one is definitely our organizational development. And we want to utilize a stable core management and supervisor team to develop highly effective workforce. Our workforce is the heart and soul of the operation, so without great teams and effective managers, we won't have a strong customer service. Within our industry, we are unique in the fact that our retained earnings are directly tied to our communities and not necessarily a stockholder. So our success as a company helps our tribal services and funds tribal programs. Our goal with organizational development is to make sure that we always understand who we are and what our successes means to tribal members. So kind of how we do that is really look at understanding Salish, Kootenai, and Kalispel culture within our entire business approach. So, within our core values, what we want to make sure and embody into our employees and our management is who we are as a people, so they understand who they're working for. Of course, we do have many tribal members who work for us, but we do have members from other tribes and non-tribal members as well. And as a large corporation on the reservation, we need to make sure that they understand, who exactly who exactly they're working for. And really, it'll give a sense of pride, and it should give them a sense of ownership in their day-to-day dealings. So that's basically how we want to approach our organizational development, and that's kind of one of our main pillars of success as we transition forward into the next 5 years. The next one, of course, is product development, and we look at product development as a way to enhance product, services, and revenue, right? So from a long-term stability in the business, we believe internal investment to help create our customers and what they want, right? So within a product development, in the hospitality industry, we understand that there's a changing environment, and we don't want to be stagnant within the market. So we want to make sure that we're developing products and services that individuals like and want to come back and be routine customers. So we need to make sure that we're focusing on developing those products so that we can better serve customers. And a few of those things that we're really looking at is kind of future developments, and those include brick and mortar type developments, and they also are customer value development. So when we look at things such as Quataknook, we want to look at a hotel renovation so that it is more in tune to a resort rather than a casino hotel environment. And of course, one of the things that we need to do to be able to make that happen is concentrate on an opportunity at the Polson West property, because what that's going to do is that's going to help us give an identity, back to the resort. So I think that those are really key future developments for us looking into the near future. Of course, we look at Big Arm as well, and we want to make sure that we're always expanding our core competencies and build out ways to develop that property into a getaway destination. That's going to be a really niche market for us because it is on the lake, and what we have to offer is not as big as what, say, Quataknook could be. But I believe that the Big Arm property does have some opportunities as some sort of getaway destination. Of course, when we look at future developments, we always want to consider what opportunities are there for business development and gaming expansion. And when I talk about gaming expansion, it's not necessarily that we want to look at putting gaming in more facilities. We want to look at what type of class that we have and how we can do that, expand into a class 3 environment so that we can increase the potential of revenue generation. And that not only opens up the market for a different type of gaming on the reservation, but we can control our costs better by owning machines. So at the end of the day, we wouldn't be paying so much to, say, by leasing out machines. We can own a machine and basically make a better return on investment on those. We want to make sure and think about hospitality enhancement as well. Our business is hospitality, so we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can and expand and create that customer value by providing great hospitality services. And that really goes hand in hand with the brick and mortar developments, making sure that we're creating new products, essentially. And of course, so, we always want to look at Grey Wolf Peak. That is one of our newer casinos. However, as we all understand maintenance and cost maintenance on buildings and expansion, what are the other opportunities that we can do with that property that can enhance what's there, that can, really shine a light on how we could develop in a small area and make a good return on investment for the tribes. Moving on to our next pillar is looking at our market development and really the process in which we sell our products and services. Gate Gaming understands the importance of being adaptable within the hospitality industry. We need to be able to thrive in an environment that is competitive and changes, as well as changes in consumer tastes. We rely on data to help shape our products. The data gives us the ability to read and act on signals, thus giving us competitive advantage. Our goal is to make sure we are doing our due diligence. And by doing that, we look at 4 different ways of creating that market development. So we want to look at segmentation analysis. And really what that means, it's a fancy saying for channeling the most effective ways to speak to our customers. And then we want to look at competitive intelligence. And that is the understanding the competitive environment to improve our delivery of products and services. Once we understand those types of analysis and intelligence into how we're moving forward, we want to look at how we're going to promote those things in promotional strategy. And that's really how do we gain additional customers and engage customers who may have been with us before, they haven't been. How can we re-engage them to come to our properties? And then based off of all those factors, we can really develop and implement good marketing and advertising strategies that's going to work across the board, whether it's hotel stays, hotel visits, RV, recreation, casino gaming, restaurants. So utilizing a good market development and make sure that we're focusing in on that from our strategic level, from the board level, it's going to ensure us that we understand how we can gain more customers. And I think one of the things, our next pillar is fairly important because it's process improvement, right? So to gain resiliency and to become flexible, to respond to rapidly changing competitive markets, we can improve the health of our company by understanding continuous improvement. Basically, what we want to do is we want to enhance the overall satisfaction of shareholders, employees, and customers. If we concentrate on process improvements, we are able to focus on what matters. Sustainable returns to the tribe to provide services and membership and build customer relations. So really the statement is that if we can improve our processes within our company, we can concentrate on what matters most. And of course, that's going to be shareholders, employees, and customers. And if we make sure and we are financially stable, we increase our economic impact within our communities, and we are developing different markets and always evaluating our surroundings as far as external threats, we could create good processes and we'll be a better company. And what that means is, well, we can have better employee retention, and we're focusing on what matters most. And obviously that's going to be our membership. So with that, that's kind of a quick overview of the strategic plan. I would like to open the floor for any questions or concerns. And if we could, we would like a motion to approve the strategic plan for 2022 to 2027.
Okay. Any questions for Pete and Jean? Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thanks, Chairman. What's the status on the hot springs development, putting a micro casino out there?
As far as a micro casino, we have dialed back our efforts in looking at new markets in that direction, right? And I think the reason is with Olson West being such a large investment into our core business, we needed to dial back. And there were some internal factors that really would hinder us from being successful. So instead of pouring time and effort into something that may not have been as good as an investment, we decided not to do it at this time. If that answers your question.
Go ahead, John.
How much money does the rodeo make?
I would not have that information at this time. We can definitely talk about that, and we have not received any information on revenues and expenses of the rodeo. I think in the main scheme of the rodeo, if you look at it from a community type of event, I mean, it has a lot of value from that aspect. As far as the profit and loss, I have not seen the numbers. Matter of fact, I think we're going to try to look at that in the next couple meetings.
Yeah, Pete, when you talk about that edification of employees to the tribes, do you have a specific orientation for new employees?
We have talked about that in the past, and I'd really have to defer that to Brian. I know that it's something that is needed. I know that SKT Technologies has some sort of orientation where they talk about membership. Of course, there are 2,000 employees across the United States. Locally, I think that it's really kind of something that we hold the task to our managers more than anything. We should probably elevate that up through our human resources, and it's something that we may already do.
You have anything with that, Brian? Put you on the spot. No.
So if I heard the question right, it was, what do we do for onboarding about the history of the tribe? And so all of our employees go through the onboarding process. We recently reached out to Vernon Finley with the Kootenai Culture Committee to see if he can provide all of our team members some kind of introductory. Part of it is reaching the strategic plan goal. So cultural sensitivity, cultural training, history of the tribes. Our intent there is to really kind of expand back out to the Salish Culture Committee, and then really bring that home and try to have that apply to all of our staff through either monthly or bi-monthly, or not bi-monthly, every other month training. So we hit our team members and kind of reinforce the top goal of the company.
That'd be great. Every time I see an employee of tribal corporation or the tribal government, they're our first line ambassador. They're having that interaction with visitors and residents, and so we can give them as much information as possible so they can relay information accurately. It behooves us in our resource management and local politics. It really does. So if you need any assistance with that, developing whatever, I'm sure that we would venture that way.
I appreciate it. So yeah, we definitely can. We're going to get this rolling out, and I think it's going to be in short order that we'll launch it.
You talked about going green. I don't see anything here with electric charging stations. So, I was going to ask that.
I'm always prepared for you to ask that now. Yeah. So after our meeting last time at the mid-year, what I did was reach out to Randy, and I think what's going to happen is that we're going to, there's grant money available, is my understanding. And what we're going to do is we're going to advance the build out and then see if we can't get reimbursed through his grant program or the grant funding that tribes have to do that. So that one.
Yeah, he's got his Volkswagen settlement funding,
that's,
but there's also bill funding, bipartisan infrastructure funding out there that would help facilitate that, as retaining customers. I just need to, let the largest electric vehicle ownership is Missoula. So in the entire state. So you have a customer base that maybe travel up this way. That'd be nice to be able to charge their car. I mean, they'll pay for it. They have to be free. No, they'll definitely pay for it.
I learned that too. I mean, that's the model that they pay for just like they're paying at the pump.
They do, but it's much cheaper. The class 3 ops, opportunities. So, it just amazed me when, I think about the Montana lottery, the Montana millionaire.
How it sold out so quickly, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, my goodness, that doesn't demonstrate something. I don't know what it is. And I don't know how you capitalize on that in any expansion, but to think that 280,000 tickets, $20 tickets sold out in 27 hours, local sales. This is not a state sale,
Right.
Local sales. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. So sure is a trend that we should try to capitalize on. Data, when you talk about information, I mean, how are you measuring what the new residents want?
So, with what we have internally, we have data capture with our Players Club. That is that's one aspect that really looks at the gaming aspect. But when we look at the overall market and how we're going to capture individuals and looking at who comes here, I think that that's a huge portion and how we can segment our marketing and advertising that's going to transition and look at those individuals or those groups in certain areas and really focus on bringing them to our area. There's lots of different vehicles when we look at that. I know that, University of Montana has some good data on travelers. Definitely that has been used in the past as far as creating marketing and advertising campaigns. We rely heavily on the data that we control, obviously, within the Players Club, and we can look at the markets and where individuals are from. And we can then, from that, kind of drive some promotional things directly to those folks. So what that does is it will reduce our cost of advertising, and we know that we can market to individuals who have been on our property before, and it makes it so much easier for us to do that, because we know that if we spend so much on them, the potential for them to come back to the property is exponential.
One of the things in particular I thought of just recently, going to the governor's tribal leadership economic summit last week, was the phenomenon that's out there for tribal fashion and arts and the fashion shows that are created, and the opportunity maybe to host those, maybe at Quetequetuck, be a sponsor of that. But they were talking about how incredible it was. People were breaking in to the events because they would, capacity, whatever the room is that they were in. People actually want in so bad they broke the doors in. Wow. And of course, mostly tribal folks that are doing that. But it looked to me like with, the other things that are going on, of course, like the show Yellowstone, things like that. There's just a added increase in that. And what a great way to add value to our artists that we have here on the reservation, the people that are producing, fashion here locally, whether it's a ribbon dress or it's local beadwork or wherever it might be. But what a great opportunity. What a great way to, bring people to one of our facilities. And I thought of Quetequetuck right away when we talked about that.
Yes, most definitely.
The guest experience, I had an experience happen to me, Brian. I'm going to focus this on you particularly. And it didn't bother me because I love the places. I love Grey Wolf and I love the staff. But I think if it happened to somebody else, they would never come back. And so what happened to me was I was playing a machine, and you guys know the data on me, how much I lose, so I won't repeat that. But anyway, I had quite a bit of money in the machine, but I was getting it down to the bottom, and I think I had maybe $20 left, and I think that's what they cashed me out at. But it was I did an 880 bet on one of those machines where you has a mini and another big one and then a grand prize, and if you get to light up all the firecrackers on it, it goes to the thing and you get the mini or the max. And so I did that on 880 bet. I had like maybe $20 left, and I hit that 880 bet. So had $20 on the machine, but I had an 880 bet. And so I knew that my 880 bet was there, but I was going to win at least the mini, right? And the machine froze up. And so they come to help me and I say, hey, my procedure, I think I probably would have won the grand, right? And they, God, I said, well, I'll see if we can't get someone to help me here. And they couldn't fix it that night. And they said, tomorrow the supervisor will come in and we'll fix it and we'll turn it on. And maybe we'll see what you won. And they couldn't figure it out. And so we'll give you a call. And so I waited. A week went by and I came back. And they said, sorry, we lost it all. They said, oh, geez, well, do I get like the mini and my 880 back? And they said, no, you lost it all. And I said, well, you caught me a drink or something, And no, there was nothing. And so that kind of an event would be something that may drive another customer away, but it made me actually feel sorry for the gal who was waiting on me, and I gave her a bigger tip, but because she felt so bad. But just that kind of customer service would be, I don't know what the policy is for that, something like that.
Yeah, so just assuming you're just a regular guy and not the chairman of the tribe, but, and that we could do better next time. But, with these machines, they have basically a digital footprint. So we have the ability to figure out what you bet and what the programmed win was going to be. It just takes a lot of effort to get there sometimes. And it almost, to be honest, it might have been a phone call we needed to make to the manufacturer to really dive into what happened on your specific machine and what you would have won. That's probably how we would have made you whole that day, with really clear detail. I mean, it comes back to the second that you made your bet with your 880 and the outcome of it. So I'm going to take it back and figure out what you probably would have won.
Well, I don't need anything from. I'm just raising it as an issue that I think another customer would have been really pissed. And
yeah, I could see the resentment. I mean, because at some point when you get into those bonuses, that the least you're going to walk away from is the mini, right?
Right.
And I know what particular machine you're talking about. But definitely, it takes a lot of effort to get to the answer that you would have, I think would have been acceptable.
Sure.
And I probably suspect at some point we gave up to really dive into what it would take. Because I didn't see the communication with the manufacturer at that level of error.
Yeah, I just don't know if there was some way to, comp a customer for something that happens to them in the future. I don't, it's a lot of man hours to dive into what you're talking about. I mean, it'd just be simpler to just say, well, we'll give you the mini and call it good. And a drink.
So we are definitely empowered to provide the comp service and to gauge your level and try to, at some point, just keep you happy and content without walking away with that sour feeling.
The other thing that I noticed with this, it's again, I think I raised this at the mid-year thing. Again, it's to me, alcohol sales go hand in hand with a successful gaming operation. And not that I'm a boozer, but it's just that it just seems to go hand in hand. And at Grey Wolf, it's just a long ways to go to the bar. And if there was an increase in frequency of that customer service to get people drinks, it wouldn't be probably an issue. But I notice that all the time when I'm there, that people complain about that. And it's not, maybe there's not enough attendance, or it's just a long ways to go from the non-smoking all the way around and then back with your drink if you have to get it yourself. So if there's, if the customer service could improve there, that would be one way that I would think the alcohol sales at least somehow would improve, and maybe people would stay longer, they'd lose more money, and we'd have bigger dividends. That's my goal. Not necessarily for me, but
Yeah, I think that is one of our primary issues, is that, the customer service, and if we don't know about it, we can't take and direct management to make sure that these issues are filled out and completed and to the satisfaction of our customers, because those are our best, those are what's happening to us.
So the Polson West development, which I think is a wonderful idea. What does that mean for remaining gaming in Quatucknuck? Because you're gonna reframe or regroup Quatucknuck as a resort with kind of no gaming or very little gaming?
You'd be very little, like the footprint would be small as far as gaming would
Like
go.
less than 20 machines or something?
Yeah, it'd be like 20, 25 machines.
Oh, that reminds me. So the other question, when I was eating in Lhasa, a customer asked me, how come there wasn't any machines in the Lhasa bar? Is there a reason why there's no machines in there?
I think the main reason is that like specifically the metrics we look is a win per unit. And so the win per unit at Grey Wolf was probably just over 100, 117, I think is the number. And so, we want to keep that going as good as possible. And I think you start to dilute it if you add more machines in there or even shift them over. They don't perform as well as.
So if you moved an existing machine into the bar, you would potentially lose value?
Yeah, you would lose value. So that same machine producing 117 on the main floor, I would say in theory, is going to perform significantly less at the bar. And I'll give you an example that I know of, like definitively, is that the 117 is on the main floor, and then the non-smoking at Grey Wolf is probably in the $50 win per unit. It does about half as much as the total main floor just by having non-smoking, and it's connected to the floor. So performance starts to degrade after, with that disconnected. And we see that at the resort with the satellite casinos that we have. They perform at a less, the win per unit is decreased as the distance goes to the main floor.
It's just counterintuitive to me, I'm sorry. Because all the bars have casino machines in them. And so it seems hand in hand to me that that's the norm for Montana. So I just don't quite follow your logic. I mean, I follow logic that's a distance away or, but seems to me like a machine in a place where alcohol is served in the immediate area can't go wrong, but that's just me. That's me and my 60 years of stupidity. Any other questions? Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pete, you talked about your managers being what's essential to getting good customer service, and I'm just wondering how much training do you actually have planned throughout the year for those folks?
Right. So within our plan, looking at the strategic plan in the upcoming years, making sure that we want to make sure that we're creating that highly effective workforce, right? So by doing that, we as the board, how we can do that as a board is to make sure that management, as Brian, as our employee, we're making sure that we're shifting the focus to him to make sure that our businesses are customer focused as we are in the hospitality industry. And how we go about making sure that the managers are going to be trained is to make sure that they're focused on those types of things, with a beverage service that Mr. Chairman talked about, making sure that customers are just taken care of and they feel at home. And I think that there's several ways that we can create that internally and within, our hospitality standards or hospitality standards within the industry. We definitely, there's different management aspects of that we can do in different levels, and making sure that we're going to be keeping people engaged in those types of trainings is going to be key for us moving forward. So, I'm really looking forward to what Brian and us can put together as far as making sure that we're enhancing that customer service in the next couple of years. How that is specifically outlined, I can't really give you a good, clear answer on that.
Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That customer service, Gene had mentioned that. I haven't been in Missoula's, but I've stopped several times at Chick-fil-A at Kalispell. And I have heard more than a bunch of people say they're just amazed at the customer service there, all these young people working. And whoever facilitates that training, it's incredible. And they have these high school kids there working, and they are the politest and the most responsible people I've ever encountered. And I'm not the only one, but we always make an effort to stop there because they're such gracious and so well trained. And so anyway, I don't know if that, but it would be nice if somehow you could contact their training facility, how they go about that.
Sure. Yeah, and I think really, when you look at, we mentioned the orientation and how we can implement who we are as a tribe, starting those types of conversations early in the orientation is really going to be focusing on the customer service aspect. And I think that creating the workforce, you have to make sure that we're hiring the right people for the right job, right? If you have someone who's introverted, maybe they're not best suited for, if they're not outgoing, I would say, then they're gonna have a harder time being in that customer service environment, and they may have to work at it. So that's where we're looking at our managers and stepping in and helping them overcome those potential downfalls or potential, being introverted versus extroverted, and make sure we're just making the right people in the right place.
Thank you. I just know that customer service has been a topic for many years at the resorts.
Right.
I know that when Zane and they won their first state title, they, instead of going someplace else, they booked with to have all their players and their fans be served up there at Grey Wolf, and they said it was just terrible. The service was not good at all.
And I think that within the hospitality industry, that's definitely, we want to focus on it because it's evolving like everything, and we want to make sure that instead of us hearing about the issues from the past, that we're changing it to good conversations that's showing you that what we're doing as a company and what we're focused on within the strategic plan is actually happening, and you don't have those types of stories. All you hear is good things, and that's really our goal. That's our main goal. That's why it's number one on the list, is to make that happen.
Jennifer?
Thank you, Chairman. I guess one other question I have, I'm not sure what category would be market development or product development, is what are your plans for a gift shop? Because I went to the gift shop at the Shoshone Bannock Casino, and it's
really nice.
amazing that, like, just the gift shop itself is almost a destination because they only carry local native beadwork, and you can buy like exquisite moccasins and purses and medallions. It's so amazing, and it's part of their casino. And actually at NCAI, they had a booth there.
Oh yeah,
Their Shoshone Bannock sent they had a booth from their gift store, and they have, I think, 3 or 4 locations on the reservation, and it's just their beadwork is so amazing. So what are there plans to have a gift shop as part of the casino? Because when I go to other Indian casinos, I always like to look in their gift shops.
Right. And I think to answer your question, that's definitely something that we're looking towards. Obviously, when we had the COVID restrictions and we were just trying to keep the doors open, we had to eliminate some spaces so that we can have enough room for the gaming machines, for the social distances, the policies that were in place at the time. And I think really looking at how we shape Polson West and the time frames of being able to have that facility created is going to really determine whether or not the gift shop is going to be, on the hotel premises. And also looking at it where you're talking about the potential for having different locations, we can sure look at that in the future as far as Quatucknuck, Polson West, and I do know we had one at Grey Wolf. Grey Wolf was one of those markets where as a phase two, a hotel expansion, you know, then the gift shop really makes sense in that nature. Or we're looking at it just as a restaurant and casino. You know, those customers that would more than likely purchase something in a gift shop aren't the ones that are coming to Grey Wolf.
Another question, a follow-up, I think it would be a good opportunity to do some cross-promotion and cross-education about some of our other tribal programs, like maybe selling recreation permits or promoting the bison range and things like that, and an opportunity to educate people. Because I would imagine that SNK Gaming's properties probably have the highest contact with members from outside our community. So it's a huge
Right.
opportunity.
So I guess would the tribe have some sort of public relations that could provide those types of information in more of a package style, right? So, I mean, definitely we could go to natural resources in different areas, but I think collectively as what we have as a tribe, I think if we create that public relations package, then not only you're just not just distributing it to us, there could be definitely other businesses that could go to as well.
I know we tried to, SNK Gaming tried to help us with our education about lake trout and actually served lake trout fillets for a while I think at Grey Wolf. But that's an example maybe to try again.
Right.
We already have that all packaged up as far as information, but those fillets are sold statewide and they're in other restaurants.
And I think too is what's available as far as you know, potential to procure products, like you said, not just in the gift shop, but if there are other products available that could be retail ready for consumers, and if that's something that you know, readily available as far as you know, tribal member business. I think that just from a perspective of a corporation, those types of things, especially where we're looking at trying to serve and promote local, having that information would definitely help the local producer, where they're maybe not thinking marketing and sales, but they're just thinking of producing their product and not really understanding how to market that. I think that those two things would be, you know, very helpful for both the membership and for the companies.
Okay, yeah, we're getting back to the gift shops and sell local, you know, a lot of the individuals out there like to sell their products, you know, but where do they don't get their money until the product is sold, unless we as a corporation buy that and then resell it, you know. That was one thing that I learned a long time ago was from Bearhead. He said, you know, the post and pole didn't make it because they would bring in their poles and sell them and then go out and get drunk and then come back in and try to resell it again. He said, if you pay that person cash that day, they'll know to go back and cut the poles and come back and sell that, be able to sell that again and know they're going to get cash for it. And so that's one of the problems I see with selling locally, you know, is that the individual needs the money now, and how do we take best purchase that, you know, from that individual. Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see under product development, you know, I'm not a great gambler, but I like to eat. You got Falling Waters phase 2 and 3. What's the plan with Falling Waters?
So the board of directors in previous years had taken the initiative to, you know, make sure that plans were available when the restaurant, you can see kind of some traction within the restaurant and you start developing good menus and customer service and you have a customer base, and really kind of looking at it in the manner of how can we expand our businesses? So the phase one and phase two are actually opportunities for us to expand the restaurant footprint within what is kind of there. And I believe, just to kind of give you an idea what it would be the existing restaurant that is there, and then expanding it towards the lake. And then putting, kind of that outdoor bar as part of an indoor-outdoor bar facility. And then the hallway that goes between the pool area and the restaurant, that would become seating area for the phase one or phase two or phase three. The challenges that we had at the time was looking at the profitability of the restaurant as it sat before it was Falling Waters. It wasn't too favorable to do a full expansion. So by transitioning it into 3 different phases, then we could make sure that we're creating something that isn't going to fail, something that's successful. So that's what they are, is opportunities.
Go ahead, Terry.
Thank you. I know you have a lot on your plate and there's only so much time and funds to get out there, but I personally really wish we would keep something simmering on the hot springs issue. I just think that's a missed. There's so much traffic goes up and down that highway, and I know that the Dixon bar that Schmock runs still has one of the very few grandfathered liquor licenses in the state, can be moved anywhere. And I know there's competition up there, but I just thought that, I think at one time there's like 4,800 people that lived in Hot Springs area. And, but that would definitely be something that really could be used and appreciated over in that area.
Yes, and I think that when we look at overall hospitality expansion, right, and utilizing our highways and byways and natural resources in a manner that's sustainable, and making sure that we're welcoming, right, and creating those types of businesses is definitely a market. I think that there's definitely needed to be conversations between tribal government and SK Gaming to make those types of things happen, and keep those conversations alive, like what you said. I do know that we do have a few items on the list that we do want to discuss that, potentially are, positive to making those types of things happen. Well, we need to discuss them.
Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate you guys for everything you're doing. As usual, well, per the last conversation, I would advocate that we work on our new compact and look at gaming off the reservation in a higher population area and do kind of what some of the tribes in Washington. I know that's a different situation, but I know that was a discussion, and I don't want to let that not continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I believe that that's a topic of discussion we wanted to talk about today, definitely.
Okay, any other general discussion points? Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I just listening to what you're talking about, Pete, thank you, Chair, about Grey Wolf and things that Jennifer talked about and everybody's talking about that they could put down there. I think with, you'd have to look at it in an expansion for Grey Wolf. I mean, it needs to expand to have all these amenities in it. And the missing link, I think, is the hotel. You need a hotel down there. You need to draw people there, keep them there. And I think they'll buy anything you got in there besides gaming, It's just, to me, it needs to look like, coming in as a reservation, almost a small destination area.
Oh, yeah.
Just coming in. And then you could have all this interpretive stuff in there. Sell your beadwork, even show videos of your powwows and stuff that as you're coming into this reservation.
I mean, you could capture a lot of people there with, but just need to expand. We need to be, I'd like to get this council talking about giving some more land there so we can put a hotel there. A hotel, something that people could come, have their dinner, have their drinks, stay the night, spend their money, and they don't have to rush off to Missoula for a good dinner or, you know, afraid of driving home drinking. So it's a missing link in that whole thing, and I think we need to really think about that, because in order to make this a better casino, double profitable, everything, just gotta have more amenities, Ted. Gotta have a hotel there of some sort. That's my thought.
Thank you, Jimmy. Any other general discussion points? With that, we have a motion on the floor to approve the, I get the right year right.
2022 to 2027.
The 2022 SK Gaming Strategic Plan. Is there a second? Second by Jennifer. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous?
Perfect, thank you, appreciate it. So moving on, and I'm glad, Martin and Jimmy, that you brought up those topics, because that's essentially kind of what we want to talk about today.
Want to move into executive session?
You want to?
Yeah. We'll move into executive session.